Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Day number 133, cooking over here in Western Pennsylvania, literally. I just jumped out of the shower. Didn't even put gel in my hair tonight. The reason being, I've been in Cleveland all day. My daughter flew out to visit her sister there in Chicago. So got her out of here, enjoyed the time in Cleveland, and really interesting. When I was driving across Cleveland and then coming back, I remembered the area and the size of Cleveland I was sharing with you guys last night in comparison to that of Donetsk. And of course, Donetsk is almost twice the area of Cleveland. And I'm driving across Cleveland from East Cleveland all the way to the west side, where the airport is. And I'm just thinking to myself, of course, I've been in Donetsk many times, but I'm just thinking to myself, my goodness, how many people and how much infrastructure. So this is why we're here. This is why we're sharing. This is why we're telling the truth. Welcome to all of you guys. Let me just get some shout outs tonight and we'll get cooking. Kim Porter, Lane DeWolf, Facebook Land, Tina Innan, welcome to you out there in California. Rick Berry, Nate Fody checking in. Jennifer Grover says, nice to watch live. Yes, it is. Rita Berry, Monroe Gammon, Ricochet, Hot Skills 79, Paul Kiss, resident Canadian American, and to the rest of you guys out there, thank you. Chuck Pinkham, always on here. Ben Waldrum, welcome to you there, sir. Jeff Burnett, as always, thank you, sir, for the moderation and just keeping an eye on the chat. I think just your presence here made all the difference. Seriously. So thank you for that. Carol, good evening to you. Welcome. I think you're out in California, San Jose, somewhere, Santa Clara, somewhere. Eric Wood, Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Bruce Lozier, nice shirt. Thank you. Larry and Debbie checking in from Florida. I'll go this way. Yes, I've got the Vladimir Zelensky 511 Tactical. Representing Santa Clara. Okay, memory's not working too bad. Malcolm Beals, morning all. Boris Johnson, a good partner of Ukraine, is about to lose power. Malcolm Beals, that is not what I want to hear from you this morning. I want to hear the opposite. Gears of War, welcome to you. So, Malcolm, you're there in Great Britain. So I'll just throw this question out for you because I'm going to talk about Boris in just a few minutes, because tonight the program is called the Putin Plan. And tonight I'm going to unveil to you what is obvious, the plan that Russia has had for decades. Not all the details that we're going to be talking about with Zhenya on the other topic, but tonight the Putin Plan is very obvious, very clear, and working. And I'm going to explain it to you in just a little while. But Malcolm Beals, you're there in Great Britain. I know what everyone else is reading in the media in their own countries, whether it be America or any other nations that watch. We see the war happening there in London with Boris Johnson. And man, I hope he holds on to power. He is a dear friend. And, you know, he's just a bold world leader. And we need him. And as I understand it, the fight over Boris Johnson now is about an appointment that he made to someone in office. He's already fired him, but that guy had made some errors in judgment, and now Boris Johnson's being put through the ringer, and it's no bueno. But this is a part of the Putin plan. Carolyn Cabin, welcome to you. Blueberry. That's code language to Carolyn Cabin. All right, folks, let's get to it. I can tell you tonight, before we get going, Zhenya is still on mission. He is collecting humanitarian aid, and he is in an undisclosed location. He won't even tell me. Well, kind of. I can't say. But we will say, and we will have video, and we will share it with you guys soon. Not a good idea to change leadership when a war may be pending. Yeah, and you're going to hear Boris Johnson himself say something about that in just a few moments. So welcome to you all. I'm so thankful that you're here. You're so faithful, and let's get going. So tonight we're going to start, as I've been sharing over the last 10 days now. These are the key hits, 10 days in a row. You guys know the map: Kyiv, Zhytomyr, down to Mykolaiv, up to Kremenchuk. That would be the mall. Can you guys believe that was a week ago now? In the Russian language, we would say "Vremya letit." Time is flying. It's unbelievable. Then you jump down to Odessa, day 5, up to Kharkiv, down to Kryvyi Rog, over to Slavyansk, up to, 6 was Sumy, 9 back to Kharkiv, and then, unfortunately, once again, Kharkiv is being wrecked tonight. One of the key things, and we'll look at it. In fact, I think we're going to start right there in my order. Yes, Slavyansk update. This is where we're going to start tonight. So one of the reasons that we maybe see an increase in the attacks on Kharkiv is because Russia has already rotated troops. It's already happened. Some of the troops have been pulled out for rest. Others have rotated in, coming in from the east, and they're pushing toward Liman, and they're pushing toward Bakhmut. You see those arrows pointing in there, and then I've got the blue circle. We've already been educated about Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. Basically, up to 300,000 people, 2 very important cities. But go over to the right of the map with your eyes and look at Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. Both of those cities have fallen. They are basically destroyed. But those were still large cities, about 100,000 people each, and took quite a bit of force for Russia to take them. They lost up to 50%. Most are saying on the Ukrainian intelligence. We don't know from Russia information. It's all lies, smoke, and mirrors. But Ukraine says Russia paid a high price for that. And of course they would say that. But Ukraine paid a high price too. They were able to get some soldiers out, but we've lost both of those cities, and they're large cities. And not only have we lost them where we can, and we will retake them in days to come, but there's nothing to retake. And that was one of the major things that was released today. And we talked about it maybe a month ago, the scorched earth policy that Russia is using. And they really are. They are leveling everything. Basically, in the entire Lugansk district region, there is no water infrastructure. Once again, remember last night, Khmelnytsky, all the way in the west, our base of operations there. That region hit. What was attacked? Water infrastructure. These are very, very strategic times. Now, right in the very center of that map, we have the little black mark there. That's on the town of Siversk. If you were here and you were able to watch, it would have been, I think, last Saturday's program where Zhenya was with us there. Before I go there, Malcolm Beals, it's expected. Let me put that up there, Malcolm. So, guys, Malcolm Bills lives in Great Britain. He's up early each morning. He's become a part of this community. It's expected he won't last the week. I just hope that doesn't happen. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's Malcolm Bills there in Great Britain. He's going to be hearing much more than we hear on our media. So, thank you for contributing to the program tonight, Malcolm. Much appreciated. So, Siversk, the black circle there in the middle, this would be the city that Zhenya and our team actually took the money that you have given and sowed into supporting Ukraine with humanitarian aid, military aid, food, all of that. Today, Siversk was highlighted. It's probably going to fall pretty quickly, and it's very, very sad. But I do have a little piece, and this is in English. I think you'll enjoy it. This is going to give you another view at what's happening in Siversk. That's the next push in from the east.
Victor shows traces of blood on his t-shirt. At 6 in the morning, the man left the house to cook breakfast on the fire. This is what saved his life. His house was hit by a shell fired by the Russian military. The owner miraculously survived.
I
was peeling potatoes in the yard, and then a shell suddenly flew in. The blast wave threw me into the summer kitchen like a pillow.
At the age of 71, he lost everything he had earned during his life.
There is nothing left of the house. At least I managed to find the documents among the rubble. There's really nothing to wear. What I'm wearing now is the only thing left.
It's very dangerous in the city now. Victor tells how his neighbor went to call his relatives where there is a mobile communication and was killed.
The guy went to call his family on the railroad tracks, and that's where it flew in, and it killed him.
In the neighboring house, 83-year-old Hannah is taking apart the broken glass. They were blown out by the blast wave.
I was lying on my bed when the window fell right on me. I barely got out. The house was full of broken glass.
Did your house suffer a lot?
Of course a lot. The roof is damaged as well as the fence.
Where are you taking it?
The city council will come and take it away.
Her daughter-in-law Maria is helping her. The 67-year-old woman left Lysychansk when the shelling began there back in March. However, the situation in Siversk is no better now.
She slept right there. The windows and window sills flew up. I slept here, well, first in the cellar and then here.
Did your windows blow out too?
Well, I'm cleaning this up. Hardly had I jumped out as I heard a grandmother asking for help. This has been going on since March. I can't stand it anymore.
Son of Maria stayed in Lysychansk, which is now occupied by Russian troops. He did not want to leave. The woman knows nothing about his fate.
I often cry, my heart breaks for him. I wish I knew if my son was alive or not. He just didn't want to leave, that's all. I have a cat there. I don't know if he is alive or not.
For the second month already, the residents of Siversk have been without water and electricity supply. There is no gas in the entire Donetsk region. Mobile communication is intermittent. Locals say that over the past week, shelling of this settlement has become much more frequent.
All day long they shell. It was the same yesterday. We were hiding in the cellar. In the morning we went into the house. We just went to bed and the shelling started again. What can you do?
Every day, residential buildings in Siversk are damaged by the shelling of the Russian occupiers. Before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation, about 10,000 people lived in the city. Today, there are no more than 4,000 left. Reported by Marina Stepanenko, Anastasia Volkova, UATV News.
A couple of things you pull from that. Siversk, which we know, 10,000, now 4,000. Remember we were talking the other night about the difficulty getting water? And you saw the older gentleman right at the beginning talk about his friend trying to get over to the train tracks to make a phone call and was killed. It's the danger. It's not just water is contaminated, or if you can find some water, it's a mile away and you've got to go and carry buckets back to your safe bunkers in the basements. You're getting shelled. It's unbelievable what we are witnessing, and 4,000 people still in that town. You know, I was thinking about this. Two things I want to say. I saw on one of the Facebook streams a question, who won't last a week? I think it was from Rosemary. Who won't last a week? And that's early in the stream. We were talking about Boris Johnson, and that was coming from Malcolm there in Great Britain. So we're trying to get a little inside information from across the pond. We hope he makes it, but it's quite a battle going there in London. Now, so that is severe. Here's the thing you need to think about. I know you look at that and you see dry and you see hot, Remember, it doesn't rain. This is very agriculturally perfect area, much like Central California. We're in July like that. Ukraine, on the latitude scale, is equal to that of Canada, northern Canada. It's up north on our globe. And I know it's hot there now, but equally, it gets cold fast. You heard the report there say, there's no gas in any of this place. Of course, there's no gas in Lugansk and now in the region of Donetsk there. What happens when it's cold? This is a part of the Putin plan. And the final thing that I want you to take from that interview, and I could hear them speaking, so I know everything there. Of course, you were hearing the translation into English, but behind the English, they were not speaking Ukrainian. They were speaking Russian. There was zero Ukrainian language in that. Of course, that's in the East. So Russia is shelling and killing the Russian speakers. We know that. We know the truth. The truth is setting us free. I want to move down to Kherson now in the south. So this guy's name is Sergei Moroz. Kind of interesting. Moroz would be similar to the Russian word for morozhena, means ice cream. Morozhena, Russian word for ice cream. Sergei Moroz. Sergei Ice. That is the press secretary of the Kherson occupied region for Russia. They have cut access to social media. There's no YouTube, there's no Facebook, and there's no Instagram. Why is that happening? Well, there are two reasons. Number one, let's do the negative first. The negative first is they just want the propaganda of Russia to be pushed into these homes. Now, look at that set. This is the press secretary of the Kherson region. Huge region there in southern Ukraine. He has pegboard behind him, a 24-inch television hanging on the wall from 2007, and a painted sun on panel done by the third grade art class. My studio looks much better than his. Of course, that's Stephen Haywood, but that's the press secretary where he speaks from to speak to the region of Kherson. Malcolm, I'm going to put that comment up in just a moment because I can see it on the backside. So this guy here has come out, and remember, the negative side would be so they can push the propaganda into Kherson. But here's the good reason. And you say, well, how can you have a good reason that they are cutting off access to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram where people can get information from outside of the occupation? Where is any good news in that at all? That's because Ukraine is making a good push to the south. That is why. Let me go here. Let's go here, and I'll show you. So this is Kherson right here. And Ukraine, we'll give them the blue, is making a really good push on the southern front into the Kherson region, into the Zaporozhye region. Now, of course, Russia is countering that because they're smashing Kharkiv and they're really working to finish off the east. But Ukraine is making some headway on their southern front. They have pushed back a few kilometers, and that's good. So what does Russia do? They crank up the propaganda. They crank up the control. They crank up the terror. They crank up the intimidation. That is their modus operandi. So that's what's happening right there in Kherson. Now, let's move on to the next one. And as always, we like to pay tribute and honor to guys that gave their life. And I've done this quite a few times over the 133 days, but I'd like to introduce you tonight. I introduced this guy to you guys probably about a month into the war when the Belarusian brigade, I hope you remember that. It was like very early in the war. Belarusian volunteers left Belarus, came. Ukraine allowed them to create their own Belarusian platoon, and they were called Volat. Well, their commander, and I remember him on the video, his call sign, Brest. He gave his life, a Belarusian, for Ukraine. We just found out he was killed in action defending Lysychansk. So we pay tribute tonight to our friend, call sign Brest, commander of the Volat. Not even a Ukrainian, but a Belarusian who gave his life trying to defend freedom. Kharkiv, I want to talk about it a little bit more. So I have a map here. Up on the north side, you see the push coming in on Kharkiv. Now, Russia is unable to gain territory, but they are only 12 miles from the center of Kharkiv, not the border. 12 miles from the center, but they can't move. That's good, but it's also bad because Ukraine also can't push them back. So what happens? This is why for the last 2 nights, Kharkiv has been the #1 place for cruise missile strikes and shelling. Kharkiv is just being bombarded. Now, over on the right, you see the blue line there. That's actually the Siversk Donets River, and Russia can't cross it. It's not just a river, but it's very hilly there, a lot of vegetation, and it's quite difficult to pass. However, unfortunately, Russia now, with the fall of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, is able to push around. You see the red area on the bottom. That's coming up the M3 highway. That would be like saying I-80, or if you're in whatever, Interstate 80, Interstate 10, Interstate 40, 95, Highway 5 in California, wherever, major highway. Russia's coming up from the south, and of course, their goal is Kharkiv. And I can tell you this, the more that Ukraine is able to push into the south, most likely the harder that Russia will push towards Kharkiv. They absolutely desire to have Kharkiv. If you remember, I've stuck with this line the whole time, and I will continue to stick with this line. But I believe the only way that Russia stops and Putin says, okay, hold on, that's enough for right now, is they take Kharkiv, they take Poltava, they take Dnipro, they take this whole line connecting over to the Transnistria, and they take all of that and they landlock Ukraine. I think that's the only way that Putin would say stop. So, of course, Kharkiv would be a major, major player in that. Kharkiv being the second largest city in all of Ukraine behind Kyiv, the capital. So there you have that. Let's go here because I want to get to the main topic tonight and make sure we have enough time to understand it. Right here, Ukraine right now is dangerous. Yes, I am planning to go there in September, if my mother and wife will let me. And yes, it was in that order. No, we're good. We're working on some things, security-wise and all that, but I'm ready to let them know we love them and get my feet on the ground. But Ukraine is very dangerous, and there are many tactics of terror. I have put a treble hook on the graphic. And I know you're there tonight or this morning, wherever you're watching, and you're going, okay, man, I do not get the treble hook. You will. Here you go.
Очень страшная вещь. Вот здесь вроде ничего нет, да? Идет человек специально, этим, кстати, решают чеченцы, цепляется вот такой крючочек. И его даже не чувствуешь. Кстати, он практически бляха. Футболку, наверное, придется после этого.
He says it'll grab your shirt,
Вот
you don't
идет
even know it.
леска. И вверх F1 граната лежит. Сразу же запал идет. И сечет все, что можно в радиусе. Причем таких вот крючочков вот, не замечаешь на леске, они болтаются. Вот здесь вот. Вот здесь вот. Особенно это для военных. С этим надо заморачиваться. Вот, кстати, находится, да. Ты даже можешь не замечать. Можешь чем угодно, шлемом, я не знаю, рюкзаком туристическим. Вот здесь вот он идет. Ну все.
There you have it. Dangerous. He was saying it'll even, grab the helmet of a soldier or to grab the shirt of a child, whatever. And it's crazy there, the amount of mines, booby traps. I was actually talking to some guys about this earlier and making sure that all this was accurate. And it is 100%. And they even said, listen, that's nothing. The fish hooks is nothing. They have booby trapped toilets, outhouses, wells, anything. They have booby trapped dead pets. They have booby trapped gates on fences. They have to be so careful because it's really a strategy of Russia. And even as this gentleman stated, the Chechens are really into that type of just nasty warfare. So have to be careful. Lavrov in Asia today, this was early in the morning, would have been in the daytime there on the other side of the world, calls for the world to stand up for international law because Russia is abiding by it, but the West, United States, and Ukraine is breaking it. He made those statements in conjunction with meetings in Mongolia and Vietnam. So, in case you guys were wondering, I just wanted you to know that Russia invading sovereign territory of Ukraine, blocking feeding of starving nations with grain, resorting to acts of terror, blowing up civilian sites throughout Ukraine, threatening the world over fuel. They are the ones that are abiding by international law. And of course, Ukraine, Europe, and America is not. I want to remind you what Zhenya has taught us all over the time of this war. Rostik has mentioned it when I've had him on the program. In the Soviet Union, it is never their fault. I know that that is hard to understand. For example, let's say the Soviet Union is this guy, my chloroseptic, and this is an enemy nation. Can you see that? All right, here's my medical tape where I tape my ears in, my earbuds. Russia, enemy. Russia, they're both standing at the top of the steps. Russia pushes the enemy down the steps. It's not Russia's fault. They didn't push them. You see, what actually happened was, unfortunately, they slipped. And the reason they slipped is because they had on cheap American shoes that have no traction on them, and they were unable to clean the floor because they are savages and they slipped on the dust. That may be funny for you, but I'm telling you the truth tonight. Lavrov said, it's everybody else's fault, and I'm calling on the world to stand up for international law. Now, folks, tonight I get to the place that I wanted to get to, and that is the Putin Plan. This is not something that I got off of a website. This is not some book. These are my thoughts. Watching this war together with you for 133 days, understanding Soviet culture, Russian culture, and Ukrainian culture, speaking the language and talking with people on the inside every day. What is the Putin plan? I unveil it to you now. There you have it. And that is not the complete, but the Putin plan is a plan of global destabilization. That's it. So now I'm going to go through a few of these images. We will go back to Malcolm Bills in just a moment, but here you go. The Putin plan, Putler, is a plan of global destabilization. I will start with Putin giving the thumbs up. He's happy. Who is destabilized? Let's look at it. NATO is. We've had struggles bringing in Sweden and Finland, Germany. In fact, I'm going to show you a graphic on Germany as we close out the program that may surprise you or may not surprise you. But NATO, yes, they've shipped some weapons. You know, well, you can't send that plane to Greece until Greece sends that old plane to Ukraine. Well, you can't send the planes to Ukraine because they could use them to attack Russia. We've watched this for 133 days. Is NATO destabilized? Absolutely. Are they trying to get their ducks in a row? I hope so. Boris Johnson. Ukraine has no better friend. This war has been happening for 133 days. Boris Johnson has been the most vocal, the strongest world leader. And now, for the second time, he is facing the possibility of being removed. Now, with that said, we've got, I'm going to go to the locals. Malcolm, here's, folks, for you watching tonight, this comes straight from Great Britain. 40 members of the government resigned today, including members of the cabinet. Fortunately, Ben Wallace, the defense secretary, is still in place. Boris has lost the confidence of the Tory party. And then Malcolm Bills, this is from Great Britain. Malcolm's been around this program a long time. He knows how we think. We're conservative. We're biblically valued, but we tell the truth. And they are going to change the rules to force another confidence vote. Out of 380 Tory MPs, he only has the backing of 65. That's straight from Great Britain, folks. In fact, I told you I had something. Here's Boris today fighting, not only for his job, but even under the duress and the stress of the possibility of him being removed. He's still fighting for Ukraine. Bravo, Boris Johnson.
I think, Mr. Speaker, clearly, if there were circumstances in which I felt it was impossible for the government to go on and discharge the mandate that we've been given, or if I felt, for instance, that we were being frustrated in our desire to support the Ukrainian people, or over some major point, then I would. But frankly, Mr. Speaker, the job of a Prime Minister in difficult circumstances when he's been handed a colossal mandate is to keep going. And
we support you, Boris Johnson. Man, we need that guy in office. I see you there, CZ. Boris was the first leader into Kyiv. You're right. He also just showed up on his own accord after the four horsemen went there from France, Germany, and Italy. Although the Romanian guy was really good. We will not, count our chickens. We won't put our cart in front of the horse. That Cleveland traffic wore my mind out today. But we're getting some pretty good inside information here from a Brit. So we shall see. Now let's continue around. Continue clockwise with me. What is destabilized? The Ukrainian Constitution. That's what the red book is there. All these referendums, all of this trash, the Ukrainian Constitution is made completely invalid by what is happening in these occupied regions. Destabilization. Now just go straight down. Lavrov and Kuleba. Lavrov and Kuleba. Complete destabilization on the foreign minister level. Lavrov, bonkers. And we know that. Kuleba, doing a great job. But all Russia tries to do is to discredit the foreign minister of Ukraine on every step. Now moving still to the left. There you have him. There's Solovyov Vecher. That is meaning evening. That's the name of the evening program that is not only in Russia, but also in parts of Europe, pushed into Ukraine. It is the propaganda machine. What is the purpose of it? To destabilize the world. They were on there, and I'm not even showing it. I'm trying to pick and choose what I show because everybody would just, it's unbelievable. But, you know, they're already talking about the American presidential election and who they will put into place. Now, destabilization right there. Middle left, you have the picture there of Zelensky. Behind him, you have Italy, Draghi. You have Macron, France. And behind him, you have Schultz. I would say that France, Germany, and Italy destabilized pretty well. Let's come down to the bottom row. Erdogan, done some good things, done some poor things. What is that? That's called unstable, instability, destabilization. Go to the right. The oil derrick or the pump there, symbolizing global economies. Oil, gas. Is it destabilized? Absolutely. Go to the next picture. What's his name? Oh, President Joe Biden. Is it destabilized? Yes. Next picture. Orthodox Church. Religion. Is it destabilized? Are you kidding me? Kirill is a holy warrior. Orthodox Church. Ukraine. Today put out a public statement completely separating all Orthodox beliefs from Ukraine and Russia. Not only that, the Association of Christian Churches in Ukraine today put out a statement standing against the propaganda of churches in Russia. Is it destabilized? Absolutely. To the right, China. I could add China. I could add India. I could add Iran. We can talk Turkey. We can talk Syria. Doesn't matter. These nations are destabilized. Now, for the last few minutes of the program tonight, take 10 seconds and just let your mind think. What is at the center of all this destabilization? The Kremlin. It's so easy to see. And this is what I call the Putin Plan. And finally, there's our buddy from the Azovstal. I hope he's still living. But the treatment of soldiers, the treatment of people, I put him up there to represent civilians, soldiers, people, infrastructure, normal life, fish hooks hanging in trees to blow up children as they run by and their shirt grabs onto a leaf. Folks, if you've ever fished, you know a treble hook is your enemy. It'll catch you when you're a foot away. I can't paint the picture any clearer. I actually had like 50 pictures that I wanted to put on this just to continue to show what I call the Putin Plan of global destabilization. Right now, he's achieving it. Finally, Germany tonight. Germany. This was sent to me today by some of my friends from Germany. And the question there, and I cannot read German, I can read Russian, and I can read English. I cannot read German. They translated it for me. And the question was asked of German citizens. This was not of the government. This was not of Schultz. This was not of any of their governmental systems. This was of the citizens. Are you for or against Ukraine giving up their sovereign territory to end this war? Yeah, we know that from watching Hogan's Heroes. 47% German citizens said yes, give up the territory and end this war. 41%. So you have 47% of citizens in Germany saying, yeah, give up some territory. Now you understand why we see goofy things happening out of Germany. Let me tell the German citizens tonight. And you know what's interesting? We actually have a lot of people that watch this in Germany because I can see the analytics. And evidently, they're really good Germans because they keep coming back. I see what nations people watch from. A lot of Germans watch. So, my dear German friends, please tell your friends that today, right now, 4:43 a.m. in Ukraine, if President Zelensky picked up the phone, called Putler, and said, listen, in this, I'm going to give you Donetsk, I'm going to give you Crimea, I'm going to give you Lugansk, you're going to have Zaporozhye, I will let you have Kherson and Odessa. You can have the Black Sea, just go home. He wouldn't go home. That's the problem. He's loving this because, as I shared with you, this is the Putin plan of global destabilization. And in the middle of it all, the Kremlin. He's loving every minute of it. Now, with that said, how about a smile for you tonight? Got about a 15-second video clip in of a great Ukrainian soldier. He went to the market to get some carrots. He's the chef. Play on words. Thank you tonight to South Korea for providing weapons to Ukraine. Carrot soup is on the menu. And here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys. Watch this guy smile. It's only about a 15-second clip. It's translated. Just watch his smile. You can tell the difference. You can just tell the difference. Here's a person who's fighting for his country and cares.
Сходив на базар, купив морковок. Салат будемо зараз робити по новому рецепту корейський.
He went to the market and he got some Korean carrots, and they're going to make a salad. Thank you, South Korea, for providing weapons. But most importantly, the reason I wanted to share that is to give you a smile, because you see his attitude. But man, how can you not support that smile? You could see it in the eyes, passion and love. The same thing we have here, 133 days straight, supporting the war effort and telling the truth. Guys, thank you for being here. Master of Chaos, Geneva Conventions, totally. Yeah, Volin is still a... Yes, sir. That is correct. Volin is still a POW. He has both arms and legs. He was holding a broom and shovel with another POW side. Photo, June 28th. Send me that picture, please. Or the link or something. I'd like to have that. You're right, Bruce. He would not stop there. That's why we do not stop. And there's our moderator, Jeffrey Burnett. Germany, when you need help, don't call. That's where we're at, folks. You are fully updated. Day 133. Thank you for continuing to pray for Ukraine, to give financially, that Applebee's meal a month at blwc.org. As we get closer to our auction, we've got an incredible auction coming up July 24th to raise more funds for Ukraine. We'll keep you updated. Thank you for all that you're doing and for being here. May the Lord bless you tonight. Peace to you and peace to Ukraine. We'll see you in 23 hours. Good night.